Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's Digital Media Sync, this very first day of June. So I guess we say rabbit, rabbit, rabbit. I hope everybody had a good weekend this weekend. It was Memorial Day weekend. I don't know if anybody took the time off, and thank you to all those who have lost loved ones, and we are grateful. So I wanted to take a moment. I have a guest today, and I'll get to that, but I wanted to take a moment and tell you about what's been going on at Known Coworking. So I am actually in my office at Known Coworking, and we are at 139 Orange Street. We're on the 4th floor and 5th floor of the Palladium building. We are open for business. I've been sitting in my office for the past several months. I only took a couple of weeks off myself from being in the office for several months. But the co-working space is open. The dedicated desks are open. We've just finished up some renovations that have just been really, really wonderful. We have a brand new dedicated desk space. We have soundproofed the offices. So if you go to the Instagram for Known Coworking or the Facebook for Known Coworking, you'll see photos of the progress, and we'll put some more photos off or up. Couple of other things about the live programming. We are still doing live programming, and right now we have 3 programs. And you may have seen one or more of them. So we have Connection Corner, where Barb Nangle is the host of Connection Corner. And that's another piece of news, too. I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here. Barb's going to be coming back into the space, and I believe she'll be here on Wednesdays and Fridays to welcome you if you come on in. But she hosts Connection Corner, and that is where we call all entrepreneurs, artists, dreamers, and change makers. And then there's this program, of course, which is Digital Media Sync, which is your window to the digital communications world. And I've been doing this for almost every Tuesday, all of 2020, and I've kind of been changing up the programming. I'm going to have more guests, more panels, curate more shows, do more partnerships, have more of my favorite regulars, which includes my next guest, but I'll get to that in a moment. And then we have Pivot Talk for when businesses must evolve. And Pivot Talk actually came out of the fact that businesses really had to evolve very quickly due to the pandemic. But I think businesses are always learning and evolving from different situations. We are going to have a Connection Corner coming up tomorrow. So you want to stick around for that or put that on your calendar. So that is tomorrow, Wednesday, June 2nd at 1 p.m. And it's the evolution of retail featuring Kimberly Pedrick. Kimberly Pedrick is the founder of Idiom and Dwell, both located in the heart of New Haven, right on Chapel Street. And in this episode, she is going to be chatting with Barb and guest co-host Juan Salas Romer, so he's going to be on as well. And together they will explore what it takes to endure shifting market trends and needs and changing up business models and giving back to the local community. So we're going to be covering a lot there. I'm actually really excited about this. And then always take a look at what we have on coming up. It will be on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Facebook, and of course on our website, which is nhvknown.com. I feel like I'm covering a lot because I haven't been on in a while, so we're going to change that. I took a couple of weeks off to kind of resituate the show. And the other thing that's going to be coming up in the next 3 or 4 months is there's a partnership between Known and the New Haven Free Public Library's Ives Squared with Digital Media Sync. So Colleen Lynch from Ives Squared will be joining me every 2 weeks out of each of the months of June, July, August, and September. And we're going to be talking about each of the digital tools in the digital toolbox of Ives Squared. And I believe there's 7 of them. So I believe there are 3 for nonprofits and 4 for businesses. So this is everything that helps with business research, marketing tools, analytic tools, grant writing, research, and there's even one, I think we're even going to cover, there's one creative digital tool as well. So that's really exciting. All right, so I am going to bring on my guest, and you've seen her before, and she is always dropping knowledge like every, I think like I probably bring her on once a month. She's been writing a lot on Medium, Marketing Zen. So I'm super excited about all the things that she writes about. And today she's going to be talking about hashtags for LinkedIn. So I'm going to bring her on so she can tell us what she's been doing with that. And so, hello, Randye Spina, Marketing Zen.
Hello, Giulia.
Yay.
And hello, digital media sync world out there. I've had a few days off. I might be rusty. I don't know.
I felt like I was so rusty. I was telling you when we were in the green room, I was like, oh man, now I have to I haven't talked online and live streamed for like a while, and I totally feel rusty. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right.
So we were, obviously talking, and we talk a lot about different types of topics. And you had brought up hashtags for LinkedIn, which I noticed was definitely probably LinkedIn was the latest of the platforms that happened. Yeah.
2018 actually is when they started using hashtags, which they were really late to the party. I mean, obviously Twitter was first, Reddit, Facebook even. So yeah, that surprised me that they took so long. But and I think that's why many people struggle with this too, because it works a little bit differently on LinkedIn than it does on the other platforms too. So, this came about because I wanted to know how to do it better.
Right.
And I manage 3 LinkedIn company pages, plus my personal LinkedIn. And I started just getting crazy with all the hashtags. So that's when I started doing all this research. And I thought, and LinkedIn actually is a required project in 2 of my classes that I teach, in my business communication course and also in my social media marketing course. So I really wanted to learn how to do this better also, so that I could, pass the knowledge on to my students and, and clients and people I'm working with too.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this because I did notice that, it's definitely different, but also, necessary as well. And it's a way for, both the platform to index and for people to find. And I noticed too that you have a presentation as well, so we can kind of follow along with that. So I'm going to bring that up for you.
Okay.
Cool. All right. And then I'm going to do a little bit of magic here, and you're going to be at the forefront. You're in the top now.
Okay.
You're the presenter. You have the floor.
Okay. And I have control of the screen, yeah?
Yes, you do.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, so so like we said, LinkedIn didn't start using hashtags until 2018, so they were a bit late to the party. And I think a lot of people are still struggling with how to use it. Even, influencers and people that I follow on LinkedIn, sometimes you'll see 20, 30 hashtags at the bottom of a post, and other times you won't see any, or you'll just see one. So I think this is a topic that, everyone is still trying to figure out. So so the research that I did showed that, first of all, the pandemic was really good for LinkedIn. They said that there's, 50% increase in engagement on LinkedIn over the past year, which makes a lot of sense because people are working from home and or looking for jobs, so it's really picked up. And I think that's been, obviously the hashtags have played a big part in that, being able to connect with the right people and communities and groups. So also it's, if you use the right hashtags, you can increase engagement by about 10 to 15%. So if you are looking to become a thought leader, it's really important that you're using, the right hashtags. So some of those benefits are obviously that you maximize exposure of your posts, and you can do this on both your personal page and your business pages. Mm-hmm. The only difference is on a personal page, you can follow hashtags, and I'm going to show how to do that in a minute. But on a business page, you can't follow hashtags. You just put them in your post. But on a personal page, you can do both. And I'm going to talk about a little bit best practices for each. So the other benefit is that you keep up with topics that you follow. So, for example, I'm following B Corps. I'm really, really interested in how business is being used as a force for good in the world, and companies that have large reach are doing this really well. So the whole thing about B Corps is that they've been growing exponentially. So that's a topic that I follow. So in a screen or two, I'll show you. There's B Corp, B Corps, B Corporation.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So
it's like,
and the numbers are drastically different. So, and I'll show that too. So I've spent some time kind of cleaning up my LinkedIn feed over the last few days when I was working on this, so I may not necessarily write about B Corps, although I have. And one of my articles on Medium is about B Corps and how businesses are being used as, a force for change, positive change. Make sure. It's positive.
I know, right? Positive change. We only need positive change.
Yeah, exactly. So I both follow them and I wrote about it. And so here's what happens when you get the right hashtags. First of all, you keep up with the topics that you are interested or that you follow, or companies. A lot of companies have their own hashtags, which really only works if you're Apple or LinkedIn.
Yeah.
A really, really big corporation, American Express. So it is, if you have a small neighborhood business, you probably shouldn't create your own hashtag. You're going to be the only one that follows it. So, but now when you set up a business page, LinkedIn actually gives you some suggestions for what your hashtags should be. They give you 3 suggestions. Okay. Which is, kind of interesting. They're not always quite on point, and you can change them. But it just goes to show that they are, really pushing the hashtag. And then, one of the other benefits is you're going to be part of conversations in your industry, and you'll be able to exchange ideas with thought leaders and other people in the business community, and circles that you want to be in. That's kind of how you're going to, keep up. So LinkedIn, as of 2020, the last year this survey was done, for the third year in a row, it is the most trusted social media platform, which I thought was interesting. I hadn't known that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, third year in a row. So maybe
Wow.
this year will be the fourth when they do that survey again. And that was done by a company called Octopost. And I learned a new word yesterday too. This was awesome.
Oh, okay, yeah. What is it again?
Octothorpe. And it means,
you said that to me, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it means number sign or hashtag, which I thought was pretty interesting. I had never known that. And the other thing to know about hashtags is that you should be changing them up and adding, and because as things happen in the economy and in the world and globally, depending upon what industry you're in, there are going to be new hashtags. I looked at a list the other day of the top 100 hashtags in 2020 versus 2019, and some of them substantially grew in popularity, number of mentions and followers and things like that, but some of them also substantially declined. So it depends what's hot. Like right now, what's really hot is education, healthcare, venture capital. Like those are really hot right now. So because I teach, education, but that's a broad hashtag. Like I don't teach third grade. Like, so for me, it would be higher education.
Mm-hmm.
So, so you need to kind of change them up every once in a while. So a lot of people don't know where to find hashtags, so I just took a quick screenshot of my own. And right down here in the lower left-hand corner next to the blue picture, you can see where it says, followed hashtags. And so this is a list, and they're not in alphabetical order or anything. I'm not really sure how they do it. But so right down here, can you see my mouse moving?
Yeah, I can see your mouse, and I blew up the presentation screen as well.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. Yeah. I know it's a little fuzzy, my screenshot, but anyway, just showing you where to find it. So if you don't follow any, you won't see any here.
Okay.
But if
you prompt you to follow, like every time, I know like any platform has a new feature or a newer feature or one that you haven't been using for a while, they're like, hey, why don't you follow some hashtags? Here's how you do it.
They do. They will make suggestions to you once in a while in your feed. This is a hashtag, based on your usage and how the algorithm reads your account. Mine can be a little screwy because I manage 3. Plus my personal. So sometimes, the suggestions that they make are I must have them all confused. I don't know. But the other thing I do want to say, not everybody knows this. Somebody just asked me this the other day. Your personal profile has to be at 100% complete in order for you to create your own company page.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so that means that all of the basic pieces of your LinkedIn profile have something filled in. Yeah, so it has to be.
I know having a website and having a, I believe it's a company email. I don't know if that was the case went way back. Is I had to have a company email.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. No. Okay,
no.
That's good to know too. That's how long it's been since I've made another company profile.
Yeah. I know. We all have lots of pieces and parts to our lives. So that's where you find them. So the next screen is when you click down below that list that I just showed, when you click on that, here's the screen that will pop up so you can see all of the hashtags that you follow.
Got it. Okay.
So you can see here what I was saying before. You have B Corporation, B Corp, B Corps. Okay. So if you look at those numbers, some are, in the many thousands, right? And some are just a few hundred. So from this screen, what you can do is click to unfollow. And I'm going to show you what I did in the next screen. You can see I stopped following B Corporation because there were only, a couple of hundred people that were following it, versus B Corp and B Corps, plural. So you can see even here, there's a tremendous difference in the numbers.
Yeah, that's good that they show that too. And then you can make some decisions.
Exactly. So what I did was I really dug into this like the last few days to clean up my feed, because I wasn't seeing what I wanted to see, and things were getting pushed down, and I was following hashtags like when I was doing stuff for other clients that were, just not meaningful to me anymore. So I kind of cleaned up my LinkedIn act, if you will.
Okay.
And, plural, it can make a big difference. The other thing I want to say is the LinkedIn hashtag ecosystem does not translate necessarily to either Twitter or Reddit or Facebook or anything else, or Instagram or whatever. So just because you use a hashtag here that might be popular, it may not exist on any other platform.
Got it.
Yeah, it's important. You can't just carry it over. So you have to do the research, and I'll show you how to do that.
So they're not universal.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
And it makes sense if you think about it, right? Because LinkedIn is a professional platform. So there are going to be things on here, like the #1 hashtag used and followed on LinkedIn last year was India. So that's probably not the case on Facebook. And, the only way that you can get numbers of followers on Facebook is to type in a hashtag and see the number as it comes up. There's no hashtag ecosystem within Facebook.
Yeah.
Like here. So you can see, everything laid out for you.
I wonder if they're going to change that. Because I
hope so.
I think Twitter does, because Twitter had, when obviously Twitter started that, the whole hashtag thing.
Right.
And one of the features that they have is trending. And then they have like the numbers behind the trending.
Right.
As well. So it's similar. And I think that's really smart of LinkedIn to pick up like, okay, here are the numbers. Like, this is important.
Right.
We understand that this is important for.
Right. And if something happens in the news, then that hashtag is going to be trending immediately within minutes, because there are so many journalists and media companies that use Twitter to get news out to the public.
Oh, that was huge. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so things on Twitter are going to move a lot faster. Hashtags are going to change much faster. They tend to be more stable on LinkedIn, though they do change. But for the most part, they're more stable. Like, for example, if you're an engineer, like the hashtag engineering, those are good. Those are going to be stable.
Right.
But if anything in the news pops up, it might trend on Twitter. There are some news people, some journalists that I also follow on LinkedIn. And it can carry over, but sometimes it just honestly looks like a copy paste, especially when you see a whole lot of hashtags in a LinkedIn post. They're just copy pasting, because you can see the dots from Instagram.
Right.
So from this screen, you can follow, you can unfollow. And I just want to show, like, right up here in the search bar is where you can put in, but you have to use the Octothorpe.
Yep, the Octothorpe.
you use the hashtag and then you put in the word or phrase or place or whatever it is. And then that will bring up the number of followers. And you can see how many people are following. You know, I was using some hashtags that were suggested to me from LinkedIn. And then, you know, as I was going through this process the last few days, they had like 7 followers. I'm like, why would you know, they're still figuring it out, but they'll get there. So here's something I took from my feeds. So I follow the hashtag innovation. And this came up in my feed, right? Because it says that I'm following it. So this post uses the hashtag right down here, innovation. So although I'm not necessarily interested in, you know, Germany or what, you know, what this particular company is doing, it shows up because I follow the hashtag. So there are some that I follow, and, you know, I'm sure you do this too, right? But you don't necessarily post about it, but you follow
right,
it.
But you follow because, yeah, it's news or it's things that you might, want to glance at.
Right. And there are some that will land on both lists, and I'll show you how I do my pick lists. But so you have to be careful on LinkedIn too, and I found this out, that using too many hashtags will, LinkedIn will flag it as spam. Okay. So the recommendation is to use 3 to 5 hashtags. And so you should use 2 to 3 that are what they call wide reach, and then 1 to 2 that are more niche. And so, for example, so here's something that's really interesting. So hashtag social media has 19 million followers, but social media marketing only has 147,000, so big difference. And then social media marketing tips has just a couple of thousand.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So what they recommend is 1 to 2 broad reach. You know, if you want to reach 19 million people, social media, but you also have to think about how people are using it.
Correct.
You know, so if I have social media, I don't, but if I had social media as a hashtag that I followed, you know, I would get, who knows what, I would probably get too much that wasn't relevant for me or things I'm not interested in. However, social media marketing, very much. I'm interested in and want to read more about from experts in like HubSpot, you know, for example. So for your use too, you should play around with it.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that as you were saying it, right? Because if I want to broadcast something, I'm going to be following broader hashtags, you know, and I'm going to be, you know, kind of glancing through it because that's what I use hashtags for as a user, right? I want to like scan the headlines, so to speak.
Right.
But if I want to use it, did I just flip that? If I want to broadcast, I want to use wider reach to bring more people in and then let them know. But as a follower, I want to be able to kind of, I think I would want to be able to kind of hone in on what I want to follow. So that way I'm not like wasting my time.
Right. Because the broad reach hashtags would encompass, for, you know, I'll just go back to the example of social media. I'm not interested in social media, you know, programming or like what's behind it or, I just want social media marketing.
Yeah.
So there's my feed might be flooded. I mean, if I followed hashtag social media, I might be flooded with stuff, and I was, and that's why I stopped. So when you really dig into the numbers and hone down, and then again too, if I write an article, either on Medium or if I find like I subscribe to Feedly, so sometimes in the morning I'll look at Feedly and then I'll share from there. I have all my interests set up, personal, business, etc. So if I share an article from Feedly, that might be about social media. So I might share that from Feedly, but I won't necessarily tag it for tips. I might just tag it broadly.
Got it.
So what I've learned looking at all this is that you just really have to play around and see, because your reach also depends on who your followers are. So if, for example, like when I had my agency, I had clients in every industry imaginable, construction, finance. So they may or may not have been interested in things or hashtags that I was interested in. So if I shared something, the algorithm wouldn't pick it up as a popular tag in my feed, because clients weren't necessarily reading it or sharing it, because the client, my client base was so varied. Okay. So there's a lot of stuff behind the algorithm that is that also matters, and it matters who follows you, who you follow. So the hashtag stuff is not as clearly defined as in Twitter, because on Twitter it will show up everywhere, but that's not true with LinkedIn's algorithm. So what I've done to make my life somewhat less crazy is I created what I call pick lists. So when I'm writing, so for my Marketing Zen page, so you can see here, I took off B Corporation right at the top. I have B Corp, B Corps. So this is my pick list for what I'm writing, not necessarily what I'm following.
Got it. Okay.
So here, like email marketing has, let me see, email marketing has like millions of followers, but email marketing tips, so email marketing has 507,000 followers. Email marketing tips has just under 600. So you can see that it varies tremendously. And this list, now that I started doing this, it's going to change over time, but for right now, right, this is what I'm doing. So you can see here, so these are the things, small business, right, shop local, all that kind of stuff. And then when I post so I'm on the board of Arts Alliance of Stratford, as you know. And so what I did here is I have the top 3 that I always use whenever I post on that LinkedIn company page, if you will, even though it's a nonprofit. And then depending upon the content, I'll pick off 1 or 2 from the list here. So what I've done is I have my 3 kind of broad reach. And then, even though we have members actually all over the world, right. And models, right, because they do the figure drawing, and models like all over the country, one in Australia, I think one in Poland as well. So, but I'm not looking to reach those people. So I'm not going to use like global stuff. So I'm keeping it local, right, because we're a local organization. So Arts and Culture, Connecticut, and Stratford. Those are the three that I always use. And then I'll just pick off one or two based on the content. So for example, for the art show that we just had, so I put here, you know, I used, what did I use? Oh, I was trying to, you know, reach out to artists on LinkedIn, and there actually is a hashtag artists on LinkedIn. Who knew? So you just have to
now you know.
Yeah, and you just have to sit and play. I mean, there's just no, and you know, who knows? Like since I created this list and really honed it like over the last week or so, you know, there could be new hashtags that have been created, right? So it's always a living, you know, like a living, breathing document. And then I also work with another like a management consulting firm called Revenue Growth Team. And this is, you know, business to business, kind of growth hacking and all that. So these are the hashtags that I pick from when I post there, either from Feedly or something I share or something that I write. So I keep them in somewhat alphabetical order. Just because it's easier to find stuff. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why this one is in paragraph form, but this is in list form. I'm not really sure why I did that. Oh well. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really
Sometimes
sure.
we just do things, you know,
yeah,
a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it depended on my mood that day. So I want to address, because I get this from my students all the time, you know, especially seniors, right, who are just about to graduate or just have, right, because we just finished a semester. You know, I'm looking for a job. Should I use hashtag job? No.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
You want to follow it. You might want to follow it.
Yeah.
But you don't want to use it in your post. What's better to use is something like, you know, you want to follow, let's say, hashtag job search, but you probably don't want to write about it or post it. What you might want to do, and for whatever reason, just go back to engineering. You might want to put like engineer or engineering or engineering student in the post that you write, so that it can be picked up by others. So, and then if you tie that to the new feature that LinkedIn has for people, which is, you know how they have the open to work, the green, like the half circle.
Yeah.
Well, if you're employed, like they finally figured this out, right? If you're employed, but you're looking for a job, that'll get you fired in a nanosecond, right? So what they have now is you can separate where it doesn't show, but it only shows to recruiters, which is really smart. So you can have open to work checked sort of on the back end, but it's not public, and you don't see that green circle around your you know, your headshot. So the other thing that I would say when people are considering, you know, my God, I feel so lost with all this hashtag stuff, or maybe you're used to Twitter or you're used to Reddit or Instagram. And, you know, again, for students or for someone who's young and just, you know, starting out in their career, I would say the best advice is to, and you know, this is how I've done it as well, find people or companies that you're interested in working with or that you just admire, and then see what hashtags they use.
Yeah.
Right. So, for example, I follow Sarah, oh God, Blakey, is that her name? She started, oh my God, name just flew right out of my head. But she started, you know, the shapewear. She was actually the first one.
Okay.
She's a billionaire, and she's been on Shark Tank as a shark and all of that. So I follow her, and she, like the hashtags
Sarah
that she
Blakely of
uses.
Spanx.
Spanx, there you go.
Yeah, I'm spacing too, but now I'm not.
It's early. Maybe I haven't had enough coffee. I don't know.
It's after
And, you know,
weekend.
so if she's someone that you admire, then look at the hashtags that she's using. So she'll come up in my feed whenever she posts because I follow her.
Got it.
But not necessarily the hashtag. So it's interesting to see, and people make up their own stuff all the time. Like you can do that, you know, like Small Business Saturday was started, the hashtag and the holiday, by American Express, you know, 10 years ago.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, or 11 years ago. And obviously they built that into a global campaign. But, you know, they're American Express. I mean, they have you know, the resources to be able to do that.
Right.
So they can take off, but I wouldn't suggest wasting, you know, if the best practices are 3 to 5, you probably don't want to waste one on a silly hashtag that you created in your head because it looked good or because you thought it was fun, you know. So you really want to make it, you know, work for you. So I'm just going to go back to the beginning here while we talk. So it's like ever evolving, and you know, the pick lists I find are really helpful because otherwise you sit and you're like, oh, which hashtag should I use today? You know, but if you do your research ahead of time and you just open up a Word doc and, you know, copy paste, like it just makes life so much easier.
Great.
I'm just looking at
I mean, this is just like all really good stuff, right? Because you just taken everything and really provided not only insight, but kind of focus. Because that's definitely the thing with hashtags all the way around on any platform, right? If you're not focusing, if you are not, you know, curating and making a list and that sort of thing, you're just kind of like always stabbing in the dark.
Yeah, and it's, you know, you're going to be wasting your time. It's become very much like search engine optimization. You can create a beautiful website, but if it isn't written using the proper, you know, verbiage for the clients or customers you want to attract, then it doesn't really matter. It's not going to work. You know, and the same thing you saw with B Corp and B Corps.
B Corp,
you know, just adding an S or making it plural or singular makes a tremendous difference in the numbers. Like tremendous.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it.
What I haven't been
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I know this is also because it's really exciting, and the thing is, it's like what I haven't been able to find, right? And all of this time, how long hashtags in general have been around, right? Almost how many years? Long time, whatever. More than 10 years, right? Because Twitter started in 2008, 2009.
Right.
And there hasn't been a site or an application that's really been able to take the hashtag kind of, you know, universe and organize it just really properly. Or they don't really take a lot of time. You know what I'm saying? It's like it lasts for a little bit, but there's, you know, it's almost like, well, we can't find a way to make this like profitable or useful. So we're just going to like throw things in and see how it works and then like not really update it.
Right.
Because people ask me all the time. It's like, you know, what do you use to gather hashtags or to understand like how many people are following hashtags and and I keep jumping around, I'm like, oh, what the hashtag.com or this thing .com. And then it's like, I look at it like, even just months later, and it's like, nope, that's not helpful anymore.
Right. And what I have found is that doing research, for today, there are lots of websites where you can create a hashtag, or where you can type in a sentence and it will give you back what it thinks. It's a bot, right? Mm-hmm. So it goes out and it reads, right, all of the posts that relate to the content, and it'll feed you back a hashtag. But none of them are for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
The other frustrating thing for me for LinkedIn, which has nothing to do with hashtags, but everything to do with the ability to, create like a week's worth of posts ahead of time. You can't do that on the platform. You can only do that through Hootsuite. Like, I know there are others, but I use Hootsuite.
Yeah.
Whereas all of the other platforms, you can, within the platform, use a scheduler. LinkedIn still does not have a scheduling feature. So hopefully that's something that will come up too, because that can be helpful to tie to hashtags. For example, Memorial Day weekend. So let's say you own a restaurant, and you have an outdoor deck, and you were having a big, Memorial Day, special menu or something. You could have put that out like weeks, you could have planned it.
Yeah.
You can't plan it on the platform. You have to plan it on, something like adjunct to the platform, like a Hootsuite. So I hope that it's especially helpful for business pages, obviously. It just, I know someone who she'll do a whole week of posts and things that she wants to say in a Word document, does all the research with the hashtags and then copy and paste. That's one way to get around it if you're not comfortable using Hootsuite or, whatever. But I think they'll catch up. I think they will. I think they'll see that this is, especially this past year where engagement has been up more than 50%. And I think that's going to continue because a lot of people are still going to be working from home, at least part-time.
Yeah, at least part-time.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be definitely, it's probably going to fall off a little bit as people get back to real life, but the benefits of being able to use the scheduler function, people are used to using it on other platforms. So I think LinkedIn is going to catch up. So, there's going to be a lot of changes, and I get, if you subscribe to HubSpot and Hootsuite and all those newsletters, the changes that are coming up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That hasn't been one of them.
Nope.
Someday.
Well, yeah. And the thing is like, LinkedIn was slow, I think, in becoming something that was kind of like static and boring and not very helpful, like as far as a functioning platform where you can communicate. But when they made the changes, it was like a package of changes that came through.
Yeah.
And obviously today is even, testimony to the fact that like I'm still learning about what LinkedIn, can do, and the power of continuing to communicate on LinkedIn and use it as a resource, both from the perspective of, research and learning and, getting news and that sort of thing, as well as, having interactions and relationships. I know that the way that I use LinkedIn is, or how I spend my time is, I'll go on first thing every morning, for 10 or 15 minutes and kind of like read through what's going on,
right.
And comment, on things, say hi to people, do whatever, and then like check back in the evening, so that's something that I can't say just recently, probably when they made the changes. I was like, oh, okay, now I can actually use this as a platform, the same way that I would use Facebook or Twitter, but more in like a business and, communicate with people kind of sense.
Right. So I think LinkedIn is taking the best of all the other platforms because they, just over I don't even know how long ago, it's less than a year, LinkedIn Live, you can do live feeds.
Yeah.
So that's something that was very interesting to learn about. What did it say here? Oh, an 89% increase in LinkedIn live streams over the last year.
Mm-hmm.
Which again makes perfect sense,
right?
Given, right?
That's where
Because that's where everybody is right now.
Yeah, everybody's 100% online.
Yeah.
Or over 80%, whatever the number is. It's like that. There's definitely been a change, and I think that I agree that that's going to be a trend that continues, even though people say, I'm sick of being online all the time, or I'm sick of, Zoom and stuff like that. However, I'm finding that if something interests me now, I've noticed that things have opened up online and become more global, and even the free offerings of like what you can learn. I'll find myself scheduling at least 2 or 3 live streams that I'm watching for whatever, whether it's personal education or enrichment, or it's, jumping into a business webinar or something like that I never would have had a chance to be a part of. So, and I think that's going to continue because people are going to be like, we should do this online thing because we're going to broaden our reach now. We still have these audiences, and if we continue to make it informational and interesting and grab people's interest, no matter where in the world they are going to want to connect.
Right. The only thing that I wish that LinkedIn would let you do, which would make my life a lot easier. Well, 2 things actually. One is definitely the scheduling, and the other one is maybe like have a folder with the hashtags that you like to use, so you can pick from the folder, or it can suggest from the folder rather than have to minimize your screen, open up a Word doc, copy paste. Maybe they'll create that someday.
Aspect as well. Yeah. Well, I think I don't want to switch up because we also only have a few more minutes left. It would be lovely too, as we're having our LinkedIn wish list now. One of the things that I really love that Facebook did was when they have the Creator Studio, because obviously it's Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, and I haven't used WhatsApp for any of my clients as of yet, and I think WhatsApp is kind of overshadowed by like a TikTok or something like that, but that's a different conversation. But what I liked about the Creator Studio is that you can have your media in there. You have your media library. You can schedule things, so you can kind of store items on the platform and utilize that. And I think if LinkedIn did that, and like you said, had the folder for the hashtags, had that area, those are the types of things from the perspective of their business model that will keep you on that platform. It's like, I don't go to my third-party platform as often, because when I'm doing a lot of posting on Facebook and Instagram for my clients, I'm like, I'm just going to go into the Creator Studio
Right.
I'm going to spend 20 minutes there setting things up. I'm in one platform. I don't have things open all over the place. And then you know what I'm saying? Because that's what happens, right? You have all these tabs open. It's like, oh, I have to go into Canva, and then I have to go into this thing, and then I have to go into that thing, right? Go into one platform, move it over into the Creator Studio, do the thing, close everything. I just saved like 5 tabs.
Right.
That's my LinkedIn wish list.
Yeah. And that actually brings up a frustration that I know I have sometimes when I'm posting for, let's say, Arts Alliance, the image that I use on Facebook doesn't fit on LinkedIn. Things get cut off.
Yeah.
You know, I understand why they're all a little bit different, you know, for, you know, reasons just to be different, and that's how they created the platform. It's proprietary to them. But that again, that's where you have Canva open also, so you can, right, you can reconfigure your images, and then you have your hashtag list open, and then you have, you know, maybe you have, well, not for LinkedIn, you can use Hootsuite for LinkedIn, maybe you have that open, and it's like,
too many things. Yeah, and it's frustrating, and then you know, you start questioning like the use.
And then you realize you went down this 45-minute rabbit hole of, you know, my God, and it's just for one post, you know. So I think if they had a repository, even if they only did it for the business pages, you know, it would be fine, and that's, you know, very, very helpful, I think. I mean, they're always rolling out new features. You know, I get LinkedIn newsletters. They have a new CEO now for it's been a year. So a lot of the changes that they've made, their new CEO came from Microsoft, which owns LinkedIn now. So you know, he's bringing over a lot of that Microsoft, you know, a lot of those technical benefits and things. So over the last year, they have rolled out quite a number of new features, and they do have something similar to a creator platform, but it works a little bit differently. But they're getting there. It's an evolution.
Yeah, maybe they're listening now or watching. I would hope. Well,
we should both put this up on our own LinkedIns, and then maybe they'll see it.
Yeah, maybe it'll show up. And we got to make sure we use the proper hashtags.
Right.
Once again, super, super helpful, interesting topic. And you're going to be writing about this, right?
Probably.
Yeah. So I also put, I know I told you earlier, I also put your, your Medium.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm going to put that back up there. Randye is on Medium. And it's /marketing-zen, and then your LinkedIn as well. Is there anything else? I just pulled what was on your email.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Easy.
Yeah, just because we talked about this on Thursday, and I actually took a 4-day weekend, so to speak, which was rare, because even though I realized that even though we had a pandemic, I pretty much just worked, because that's what we do. We work online. So,
right.
Yeah. Well, once again, thank you so much. And Randye Spina of Marketing Zen, you are always, always, always welcome.
Thank you very, very much.
Great. All right. We'll see everybody next week. I'm going to be posting when the next digital media sync in. I think this one is a different day and time, and I have to go back and check. Oh my goodness. I am so post-vacation scrambled right now.
Yeah.
But I will post that obviously on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and it'll be on the Known website. Make sure that you sign up for the Known co-working newsletter as well. Barb puts that out every Friday, I believe. So we'll be providing that information. This digital media sync with Randye will actually be on the nhvknown.com website as well under the digital media sync tab. It will be on YouTube. It will be on Facebook. Randye, I'll give you a file if you'd like me to as well.
Okay, I could just grab the link.
Yep, or you could just grab the link. And everybody have a great day. Happy June 1st. See ya.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.